There's a glimpse of this brave new world sitting on this panel here tonight as you think forward and as you even think today, which is, Ashish and his company will help you book pretty much anything in your life. Bhavish will essentially help you get there. Vijay will, of course, be your wallet and help you pay for it. And Harish, as we are apt to say with private equity and venture capitalists today, will actually really end up paying for it all. We think that disruptive technology, enabling technology, whatever you may call it, actually has the potential and the possibility of adding about 20 to 30% of India's incremental growth in the next 10 years. To give you a sense of that, that is the size of the manufacturing sector today. Right? But Bhavish, one of the startling facts that we heard is that for every shared vehicle on the street today, it actually replaces 9 self-driven vehicles. If you're in the automotive industry, or if you're in the steel industry, how would you respond to this kind of innovation coming at you from players like Ola?
Well, I've heard the word disruption a lot today. So let me begin by a small anecdote. So the only thing I really believe I've disrupted is my parents' life when I started up Ola. My dad thought I grew up in a small town in India, Ludhiana. When I told him this idea that, Dad, I want to build this mobile app to aggregate cabs, he said, Beta, tu IIT padhaya, tu travel agent ban raha hai? And I said, Dad, I'll come back to you after a year. But I think that mentality of the generation before is changing very fast. And there are a few big trends that I see from my perspective, which is completely changing consumption in India. And the primary one of that is the mobile phone. And the mobile phone, coupled with the data revolution, coupled with the easy access to capital for entrepreneurs like us to create disruptive business models, is really changing. I believe it'll change every B2C consumption vertical in India. And we are just a small example of that. Actually, all three of us are small examples of that.
Vijay, let me turn to you. Uday Kotak has famously said that startups are giving him sleepless nights, I'm sure amongst other things. What are the incumbents doing that are giving you sleepless nights or could give you sleepless nights?
What I have learned in this country is sometimes size of market calculation is distorted because you have not seen the supply of that product yet. So sometimes oversupply and supply itself creates a market. I don't think that it happens in many industries and many times, but when you start from nothing, that time judging, classic McKinsey study of cellular that we know of AT&T is an example there, that before cellular exists, you can't judge the market of cellular. Before payment exists, you can't judge the market of payment. So we took a punt on that, and I'm totally surprised. Today, I am seeing that in offline world stands for a mom and pop shop, kirana wala, auto rickshaw and taxi guy, who's not a savvy person, who has traditionally never used a payment system, and obviously Visa, Master or anybody, a bank would not go to give them a POS machine, is actually by virtue of our QR code, which he puts up a sticker of, or his phone that he uses as a POS, is doing in a month. In January, we did 3.5 million transactions in an offline world, which was like a rock star number for an online world a year back. And offline is doing that now. If somebody is getting sleepless nights, somebody should get a sleepless night. Will I be able to capitalize the digital revolution that is happening in fintech in this country? Not because somebody is taking away the cake. Somebody is making a bigger cake for everybody to share in this country.
Harish, let's turn to you. What's really different this time?
Okay, I thought we can discuss innovation. So there is this product innovation that people talk about, where you create a new product or create a new service and create a new way of doing things. But what's happening right now is that we're seeing disruption with data and capital. Now, data is clearly, you've got hundreds and millions of consumers who are accessible on their phone devices. So you can instantly launch a product. You heard Netflix launched in 100 countries in one day. Essentially, any of the gentlemen sitting here, all of them, I'm sure the apps in the room, people have at least 2 or more of their apps on their phones here. So that the fact that it's different is that one is that when you use the power of data and you're able to get instantaneous access to many million customers, you can suddenly create new markets. So what's happening today is that these companies are coming and putting a data layer on top of physical and brick and mortar businesses. And the data layer is becoming a gatekeeper for consumers. So essentially between Paytm, BookMyShow is the layer between a theater and a theater seat and you. And equally between a cab driver, who you would normally end up either calling or walking on a street to, he's become the gatekeeper there. And equally, Paytm is now, essentially, we look at what banks were doing. The money was always electronic in a bank, and the bank was actually giving you cash from an ATM. You went back, spent it, the cash went back and became electronic again. That whole thing is destroyed now. You can keep money electronically in your smartphone. So the difference is that seeing that instantaneous growth that you can suddenly reach out to consumers, that your model can actually unbundle services and repack them in a new manner. Venture capital actually goes deep into this and says that I can build new market. Today, whatever is happening, if you go on, let's say, shopping on Amazon or Flipkart, a big brand gets the same number of pixels on that page as a small brand. So it's commoditizing the physical brick and mortar business, and the value is moving to the data layer. And capital is therefore flowing into it, and capital can see returns, it can see disruption, it can see that incumbents cannot react, and that's how value is being created.
So Ashish, let me turn to you as the oldest startup in a young world. I believe BookMyShow has been around in some avatar for 17 years. If you look at that 17-year journey, Ashish, what have been the lessons learned for you, and how is it different in operating in this startup ecosystem?
So look, from my perspective, disruptive innovation for us is survival. We don't sit like most traditional businesses which have a steel plant, which has some oil, and they don't know what to do. They're twiddling their thumbs and they say, okay, now we need to think about disruptive innovation. It was survival for us because the barriers to entry in our business is so low. Capital is freely available. 2 kids sitting out of a garage in Pune can start a business by taking a premises on rent, and suddenly tomorrow there's a business. And you're always looking over your shoulder, and therefore, if you don't innovate, you die, as far as our businesses are concerned. Because there's no barriers to entry in our business. It's pretty quick, it's pretty simple. As far as we're concerned, the way we think about the market, and I can talk about ourselves, is India has 3.6 billion movie tickets sold annually, which is all of Africa, Middle East, North America, and Europe put together. And we are a movie-crazy nation, not because to the untrained eye, it looks like we are a poor, destitute, and we want to escape from reality and see translucent sari-clad women running around trees and all of that. We're not desperate. We're a hot, dusty country. It's freaking 40 degrees outside. We have the maximum sunshine. Most Indians are vitamin D deficient. I run BookMyShow in New Zealand. When the temperature hits 32 degrees, I lose movie ticket sales to sailing, running, golfing, and swimming. In India, it's always hot, 9 or 10 months of the year. Why do you think in South India there are more movie tickets sold? Because it's really, really hot all the time. So in Andhra Pradesh and in Tamil Nadu and in Karnataka, they're bigger film industries for us. And so that's how we look at it. Somebody asked me, who's your competition? My competition is the ecosystem. My competition is the mindset of the Indian consumer.
Vijay, you're a man who is known by the ambition or objectives that he sets for himself and the team around him, which are frankly outrageous. The latest one, or maybe you'll top it even in this discussion, is that you want to put a Paytm wallet in at least nearly half of all Indians in this country. How do you get your team to actually believe in this kind of aspiration and not treat it as an outrageous fantasy?
I think every one of us will agree that if you don't do something that gets in history books, what else you wasted your life on? I think, is it a question? I think, so when I talk to my team and we go through a challenge, and the challenge is an existential challenge that we talk about. 2014, nobody believed that we will even be able to successfully do 100,000 transactions. And I in my room said that there was a go big or go home, and it said there will be 1 million order a day will happen here first. That's our wow, and that's our game. We just wrote it on a wall so that nobody is confused what is our target and nobody is confused why we are chasing it. And in those days, just to put the context of it, IRCTC used to be like the god of e-commerce, 600,000 transactions, and that was like a benchmark. And I said that this is I can't put the timeline on it, but I definitely know this, that we'll be the first one to cross 1 million in a day. Basically, in board meeting, I have learned that you have to give a message so that you can get the assets back and the resources back. So I remember that there was a growth of our wallets, like 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, and 10 million. We were there in 13 million, and I ... 100 million, December 2016. And I wrote on the top, Paytm will be India's first 100 million user product. That's it. I didn't talk about what timeline, it is written on this. Surprisingly, we did it in 1 year before. We talked about December 16 and we had it in December 15. Total surprise. In fact, once you learn to defy gravity, then there is no better fun in defying gravity, anything else actually. It is so much so. And I think that to the team, once they learn how to do it, next time they only want to know what is the next. Once you are oblivious to the pain is a given fact. It doesn't matter. Every one of you will go through the pain, right? And given that you are going through the pain, given that market will be tough, given that resources will be less, then why waste time on doing anything less than creating a history? I mean, this is like a given one. Nobody should waste their life on anything less than creating a history. I think I'm clear about that.
Ashish, my last question, I'll turn to you. For the phenomenal success that you've had in BookMyShow, I mean, the fact is, I think you're organizing, you're orchestrating the T20 World Cup in India as we speak. How do you maintain balance and perspective in this world that has outrageous ambition, exciting competitors, and an ever-hungry market for more?
You've got to bloody yourselves on certain sprints, but it's a marathon. And in India, no business can be built in 2 or 3 years. Then you think like an investor. You enter to exit. As an entrepreneur, my kick in life is to look at a user experience, build incrementally on that, and deliver value. And the valuation, the number of people is a poor metric. It's a byproduct. You will never hear us talk about our valuation, which incidentally is not 1,000 crores anymore. It is a lot more, but you will never hear it from us. And you will never hear us talk about the number of employees that we have. It's a poor metric. I keep telling my team that what do 300, the Greeks in the movie 300, what they could do and beat the Persians, why do we need 1,000 people or more? And so it's a marathon, and you have this balance. I sail every weekend aggressively. Kishore is my sailing partner. We were supposed to go to Goa tonight. He is, and I'm just supplying the biryani. I'm the caterer. But, work out every day. You come into work, be excited on Monday mornings as much as you are with Friday evenings. We run a Vedanta class on Tuesday in office. We do beers and chips on a Friday on our terrace. And so you sort of, continue life the way it is, because it's a 15, 20-year journey, and then you will positively make an impact. So it's not about a sprint, it's not short-changing yourself, and don't burn yourself out. Just do it, waking up every day and incrementally keep innovating.